Namaskar from our channel, The Consultant's View. It is observed infrastructural project consultancies are predominantly focused on engineering consultancies. But in modern days, an infra or engineering project cannot be made successful with respect to sustainability goals only with engineers' effort. It requires input from social expert, environmentalist, financial and economic analyst, procurement and law professionals, tax and insurance, entrepreneur and business advisor, investors analysis, recommendation of scientists, medical and architect professionals, and lastly, academicians' advices. Today we will discuss on social aspect on the infrastructural projects. Social safeguards are an essential component of planning and implementing infrastructure projects, ensures that they are inclusive, equitable, and sustainable, minimizing harm to communities and maximizing positive outcomes. It handholds in mitigating negative impacts and promotes positive outcomes, strengthening project legitimacy and success. Our topic of discussion today is overview on social safeguard on infrastructural projects. Here we will discuss on the key elements of social safeguards, practices and considerations. We have with us today Sanjukta Sarkar. Namaskar, Sanjukta.
Namaskar.
Okay, let me give a short introduction before we move to the discussion mode. Okay. Sanjukta is a consultant in the social sector with 30 plus years of experience. Academically, she graduated in 1990 with environmental science from St. Joseph Arts and Science College in Bangalore and went on to do her master's in ecology from the then Salim School of Ecology under Pondicherry Central University. She started her career in IIM Ahmedabad as a research assistant under Joint Forest Management Project funded by Ford Foundation. She later worked on a number of projects funded by World Bank, Asian Development Bank and other multilateral agencies as a freelance consultant in social sector. She has 20 years of experience as a social safeguard specialist for various infrastructure projects. She believes in working on a social issues with rights-based approach. Yes, Sanjukta, welcome to our channel.
Thank you.
Okay, now my first question will be basically for our viewers. Please brief on why social safeguard is so important in nowadays in urban infrastructure projects.
We will address it as infrastructure projects. Should I easier?
Yeah.
Right.
No issue.
Okay. So now we have to understand the infrastructure projects that we are referring to are basically public utility projects.
Yeah.
And their success is measured by the number of beneficiaries or the maximum number of people who are covered under these projects with minimal negative impact on affected persons.
Yeah.
Affected persons here, I would like to explain, affected persons are people who are losing out because of the project. That could be either they're losing some kind of resource, they're being displaced, or they're losing their livelihoods. So it's a loss. But these same people may also be beneficiaries to the project, from this project. Now, social safeguards basically aims to ensure that a project is responsibly implemented, which basically means social safeguards will prevent, mitigate, and manage risks.
Okay, what type of risk?
Social risks.
Social risk. Okay.
Now, as an example, I just would like to talk about when I was working on a project that was a electricity plant being set up. It needs a lot of land. So when we came into the project, I realized that they had already acquired land. But there were issues, there were some protests about the pricing that they were getting. The people were very unhappy about it. And there were some families who had not taken the compensation.
Okay.
So which was delaying the process of acquisition. So now here, very interesting, we figured out when we spoke to the people that this land records belonged to what was the state of land in 1920. It had not been updated. So which means the ownership was not updated, the type of land was not updated.
Okay. Complicated
So
problem.
very, yes. So now over the years, the government has converted this unirrigated land to irrigated land. So, but since the record said it was unirrigated land, they were going to get market price for unirrigated land and not irrigated land. People did not bother to update the records because then they were paying taxes based on 1920s rates of unirrigated land. So the government was also losing revenue. So now when it came to this, they were obviously protesting. The other aspect is people who were not taking compensation because the ownership had not been updated, it possibly stopped somewhere 2-3 generations before them. And through the generations, what they have done is mutually amongst them, they would divide and say, okay, this part of the land is yours, this parcel is yours, and they would carry on. Now, when it came to claiming a compensation from the government, all these legal heirs would need to be there to sign on the paper.
There will be many.
Yes. So if it's like one owner having 5 sons, okay, and amongst these 5 sons, maybe 2 sons are losing their part of the land. Now the other 3 are not interested in coming and spending one day on this process of signing because they're not going to be getting any money. Or maybe they don't get along with their brothers. So over here, we had to actually, in such cases, the project then provides support to these affected persons in helping them update the records. So that, they get what is fair to them. So here we had to actually calculate, as per 1920, if the taxes were this, in today's price, it would be this. Based on that, this will be the market price of the land. And that's how we had to mitigate this issue. So that is social safeguards.
Okay. My next question will be, what are the key elements of social safeguard? As a professional, what parameters do you analyze for recommending a project a socially viable or socially sustainable one?
Okay, the key elements, like if you go by what we just discussed, key elements is impact assessment of the project components as well as the project, identifying the social risks, compiling a detailed list of stakeholders and their role with the project. And to ensure sustainability, we ensure that there is a robust capacity building program. There's a robust grievance redressal mechanism set up so that people can, approach them. These two, and followed up with proper monitoring, ensures that the project is sustainable from the social aspect.
Okay.
Now, as a social person, to me, stakeholder analysis, having a detailed, comprehensive one, so you know exactly who are the different stakeholders and what kind of role they play and what kind of supporting role they have.
Okay.
That is very important, along with the community participation and engagement. So till we have this in detail, there is no way we can do justice to the people over here.
Very good. In my experience, it's a very critical question. In my experience, I have seen that there is often conflict between technical and social professionals.
Yes.
Okay. Hoping we agree.
Well, I do agree to it.
Okay.
But I will say it's some, not
So
all.
In some cases. How do you negotiate such situations and how it can be mitigated as per your suggestion?
Well, like I would say, at times technical people are following set timelines.
Yeah.
And they think, they're of the opinion that, if we bring in the social aspects, it is a waste of time. Community engagement, where we're giving them details about the project, is a waste of time because they are not going to be, able to possibly fathom what the technical details are. Yeah. But they don't understand that acceptance by the community is what will ensure success of the project. How do we mitigate this? Maybe we need to bring in, as social safeguards people, we come in a little delayed into the project. Maybe we should come in when the project planning starts.
Okay. At the
earliest.
Inception, maybe.
Because what generally happens is, as a technical person, you would realize you've got your alignment set, your everything set, and then you're telling the social safeguard person, okay, this is what we have decided. Maybe when we have an engagement with the community, they say, okay, why do you take this alignment? Why don't you take something else? So when we bring that on board, the technical people feel, you mean to say we wasted our time all these days? We didn't. So this is the kind of conflict.
Well, that means if I summarize your answer, that means at the inception stage of the project,
yes,
both social and the technical should work cohesively.
Yes. Okay. Then it will definitely help. And maybe at the beginning of the project, if we kind of have a sensitization workshop with all parties, then it also helps sensitizes us as to what the technical person's requirements are. Because very often we don't understand what your requirements are. And also the same both our requirements will determine what the finances are, which is most important for a project's implementation.
Okay. Yeah, Sanjukta, in my view, stakeholders' engagement is, as you said, is one of the prime factors in success of a project. What would really be your role on this?
Well, one is developing this exhaustive list of stakeholders and identifying their roles.
Your role means social sector
specialist role. From the social sector role, it's very important for us to really identify who are the beneficiaries, who are the project authorities, but there are also people who are influencing the project by supporting it or by possibly being negative to it. You can have media who will be pro it, you can have media who will be negative. They could be community leaders who have some agenda, maybe which is pro community, then that's a positive influence. And if it is not, then it can be a negative influence.
That means the negative influencer can also be treated as the stakeholders in the project?
Yes. Oh. Because, when we are doing a social analysis, we need to know who's influencing the community.
Yeah.
We do understand that, when they're asking for their rights, they can go overboard also. So we have to be able to balance it because we are trying to minimize the risks, not say that, this project needs to stop or just identify what is wrong. We are trying to get a project which is of benefit to the community. We understand these are development projects, so it's required for the development of the city or the area where it is located. But we don't want people who are, negatively influencing the project. That will only add on to timeline and more money being spent. So that's very important.
Well explained, Sanjukta.
I would like to give an example regarding this. If it's like the water department is laying pipelines, so they're digging up the road. But if you don't inform the people, maybe shopkeepers or people who stay alongside, their lives are going to be disrupted, they're going to be agitated. So they are stakeholders to this project. If you don't inform the transportation people, so the bus will not be able to run through that. So they need to take a diversion or maybe any other, the auto rickshaw or the car services. So if you don't inform these people, we are inconveniencing them. But if it's informed in advance, they can always find a diversion and take another route. So they are also supporters to this project.
Yeah.
Because if now they go into an agitation, your project again stops.
Yeah.
Because their livelihood's at stake. A rickshawala, his livelihood is at stake there.
Yeah, that means information dissemination.
Information, communication. In fact, stakeholder analysis is very important to ensure there's communication between all stakeholders in detail about the project and its components and how one is going about it.
That means your expertise, that means your role.
Our role would be to communicate with the various, the community.
Yeah, and identifying all the
stakeholders. Yeah. Because this aspect is a very social aspect of information. It's not a technical need.
Yeah.
You might just say it's not a technical need. If there was a technical need that I need the pipeline to go into through someone's house, then I will inform those people. But for us, it's a very specific need to access, to commute.
Okay, great. What are the major challenges you faced as a social consultant in a typical infrastructure project?
One is like I said, we do not kind of emphasize on community engagement and participation. We bring it in as simply as, okay, they are affected people, so they need to be informed and they will be given these entitlements. But that they can have an opinion, that their views matter, this is not given any kind of importance.
Oh, their views.
Their views. So it becomes difficult for us to work. So what happens is, another thing is funding for social these assessments. Often it's not enough.
Okay.
It's because while budgeting, one did not think. One thought that yes, you need to give people who are losing their entitlements. But to carry out a detailed survey to understand this takes time is something that most project authorities tend to miss out on.
But budgeting on this case is also difficult, no? Because how you can estimate the total quantity?
No, but then you can always, so you need to, whoever you're hiring as your social consultant, when you're budgeting, there has to be someone who has to be able to say, okay, there will be these surveys required.
That means even during the budget preparation time also, initial stage,
yes,
your social input
because
is
see,
also required.
the main role of safeguard specialists, is to mainstream these social aspects into the project plan. That should be not treated as something external.
Yeah.
Now we get treated as, you're suddenly coming and you're giving views which doesn't matter. Because we know technically this is what is going to happen and this is what we are going to be benefiting the people. But then if people don't accept it happily, there will always be negatives to the project, which we don't need.
You're right. Next question. Monitoring of social matrices is very important in evaluating the success of a project from social angle. What are your views on this?
Absolutely. It is very important because the social indicators will actually tell you how this project has been successful over the years and how it has led to the development in that area.
Yes.
So till we have a proper baseline, how do you measure what is happening due to this project after 15 years, 20 years, 30 years?
A baseline preparation.
Yes. So now having a baseline means having a detailed survey of the affected community or the beneficiary community, which very often now we don't want to invest in initially because it seems like a lot of money for something that will be gauged many years later. But without that, you cannot have a proper assessment of whether it has really benefited. Another point like I want to say is, for example, if down a road, you are laying pipelines, the road is going to be disrupted. Commuting is going to be disrupted, say, for 2 weeks. There are shops there, which means they lose business. There are two ways to look at it. There are 10 shops. 10 shops, each shop says we earn this much and we just compensate for it. But if we don't go into detail as to how these 10 shops, each shopkeeper possibly has different sized families. So the number of people who are actually depending on those earnings differs.
Because there are different...
flat assessment you can't make.
Yeah, you can't make.
Because one shopkeeper earning 1,000 per day, maybe he's got just 2 family members. There's someone who's earning 500, but he's got 10 family members. So if he stops earning for 10 days, effectively his earnings reduce, which he may be borrowing money, or we don't know what he resorts to, which is in turn going to affect what is happening in the house. So which is why when we say whether a project has failed or not, when we say we need to minimize the negative social risks, we don't want to leave affected persons in a worse of position. It shouldn't be that because I'm taking someone's agricultural land and they cannot earn from it, we give them a market price and say it's a lot of money. But if we don't guide them on how to invest it and how to get continuous returns, this person is at the risk of falling under BPL category.
Oh.
Because he's lost his land, he doesn't have a livelihood. We've not given him an alternate livelihood which he can practice. Very often we might just say, okay, you can now start doing poultry farming. But at 50, to learn how to do poultry farming is not easy.
That was a very interesting is that what you
told. It's a chain. It's a chain.
That you have to also make them to learn how to invest and where to invest.
Yes.
Otherwise, it is
not
satisfying the purpose.
It is not. I remember for a particular project, this is, I used to work with ILNFS at one point, the Environmental Social Management Group. So in one of those projects, we had to actually negotiate with banks to give a percentage, a fixed percentage as pension for people who were above 40.
Okay.
But now, given that rates are reducing so much, there's no way we can, negotiate with banks on this. The market doesn't allow it. There have been instances where people have got money. You've had these middlemen going there, selling them insurance policies, market-linked products, and they've disappeared. So these people got the money, they spent it, they gave it somewhere, and now they're lost. So there have been instances like this.
Okay. I believe there is an important role of investing agencies or entities like banks, both government bodies or private bodies, in social safeguard issues. What is your views on this?
Yes, they play a very important role because most of these bodies, whether it's the World Bank, the ADB, the multilaterals, even agencies like Power Grid, who have their operational policies or social policies and procedures, which guide how social safeguards is assessed, the assessments, how it's done, and how, like we actually have to finally identify how risks are identified and how they are handled. So you have things like the entitlement matrix, guidelines for it, everything is given there. So they play a very important role. And another bigger role that they have is these investing agencies actually don't invest in the social aspect for the project.
Is it?
That is done by the local government
Oh, yeah.
or the national government or the local body. So, understandably, if there was no pressure on them saying this is a mandate, if it is not followed, then you don't get funding, this would never be addressed.
Okay. The World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and other multilateral financial institutes set the index of social parameters for projects funded by them. As a consultant who has been part of assignments by these entities, how do you apply those indices in different geographies of Asia or Africa, given the variation of social pattern or behavior of the beneficiaries? Hope you got the point.
Yes. So, like I said, these agencies, they have their own procedural guidelines and social policies. So the principles remain the same no matter where you're in the world.
Okay, principles are
Principles are the same. But yes, we need to tweak it to the socio-cultural context.
okay.
So I was part of a project in Mozambique. So there were people who were being displaced, and now their men are allowed to marry more than once. So some may have 2 wives, some may have 3 wives. Now he possibly has a house which has 2-3 rooms, and the wives stay there. But the project authorities here, they said no, each wife actually is entitled to a house.
Oh,
as per the socio-cultural guidelines there. So the project
project
authority,
cost-
yes, the project cost goes up. Project cost really goes up. But then they said we have to adhere to what our cultural norms are. He couldn't afford it, so he was staying in a cramped place. But now when we identify it, so it wasn't just based on the size of land he was losing or the size of house. It was made equitable that each one would get as per the number of wives that they had.
interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting point.
But and I must say the project authorities, they were very sensitive to the issue because project costs really went up.
Okay, Sanjukta, here we are coming towards the end of our session today. So my next question will be, I understand social aspect is one of the most important elements of project success. Do you think it should be a part of engineering curriculum where urban infrastructure development is mostly dominated by the engineers? Because they need to know.
They
the
need
importance
to
of-
know, yes, maybe there should be sensitization programs, but don't get me wrong with what I'm
talking
saying.
about engineering curriculum. Because,
No, that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. I don't want it to be really part and parcel of the curriculum, Because then what will happen is they will feel, oh, we know how to deal with social issues, and it'll get diluted further. Because here you actually, it's more than, it's not about qualifications, it's about being sensitive and being willing to accept that people also have their views, their opinions, because they are living their lives. We can't judge how each one is living their lives.
Okay.
So if they come up with a problem which may not, so then it is also our right to explain to them and, mitigate it without really investing in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, suppose in the engineering curriculum in the universities, because as the social aspect is very important nowadays, so can we recommend that a chapter should be there? It is for sensitization of the students.
Absolutely. Maybe they need to see the connect between accepting that social aspects is integral to the project design and how it actually helps in, meeting timelines.
Yes.
Instead of being delayed.
Okay.
So, I mean, over here, I would like to say, working with you, you were one exception in my work. Because you, at the beginning, you knew that if you had to follow certain timelines, it's best not to argue with us, but to tell us what is happening. So you went up front, you shared the drawings and you very clearly told me that this is what is happening. So now you tell me what are your issues around.
Yeah,
so that made things much more simpler. Very often, the technical people don't want to even discuss these technical aspects with you. So then it becomes a problem. Then you're only fighting.
Yeah, that's the point, conflict.
Yes.
Okay, Sanjukta, thank you for giving us time and sharing your thoughts on importance of social safeguard on infrastructure projects. I should admit that the discussion today has been enriching and praiseworthy. A token of appreciation from our channel's end for your participation. So if you kindly accept it.
Thank you for having me here. Yeah, sure.
Thank you.